What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a sick mic.
Thanks. Yo, what's up, everybody? So, just real quick, this is Imprecisely. I'm Jordan Valenzuela, and we got a special guest today because he's the first guest ever on this podcast. Mr. Edward Thomas, how you doing, sir?
Good. I'm gonna remain the best guest.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. You got to come back when we can do this in person. Just a quick side note, if you guys didn't know, which I don't think you would. I just felt right that I asked my friend here, Ed, to be the first guest because I got this mic from him. So shout out to
At
you, man.
least you're putting good use to it.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Good, good. How you been? How's quarantine?
Same old, same old.
Same
Staying
old.
busy.
Yeah, so for the people watching at home who don't know, Mr. Edward Thomas here, good friend of mine, and also, oh, did we lose you? Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
There we
so
go.
got you. So Ed, he's a. Are you retired? How do I say this? You retired?
I'm doing other things right now, so I'm not retired.
He's not retired, so he is a professional MMA fighter. He's a featherweight champ at Destiny Promotions here in Hawaii, and he's competed for Bellator and a bunch of other organizations. And he's a good friend of mine. Used to work at the mental hospital before with each other. That's how we met. And yeah, man, why don't you tell us what you're doing now? How you doing? Have you been training, or what's new? What's going on?
Yeah, with COVID and stuff like that, our gym's been shut down, so I've just been doing training on my own. Pretty much just like a lot of I just been lifting a lot. I put on some. I just been lifting, put on some weight, good weight, I think. Uh,
Everyone's putting on weight during quarantine.
yeah. But that's about it. Just dealing
Nice,
with what
nice.
we.
Is it okay to say what you got going on in the next month? Is that cool?
Now we'll keep that private, but
Okay, I
yeah.
got you. I got you.
I mean,
I
I'm
just
in
want
the
to. Oh,
now
go ahead.
the police academy. It is what it is.
Yeah,
A lot out from graduation, and we still got a lot more training after that. So that's my
nice,
main.
nice. Yeah, congrats on getting into the police academy, man.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. So yeah, let's just get into it, man. Like for the people who don't know, you go by Edward the Promise Thomas. First
Yeah,
question I have is, how many people have messed up or mispronounced your name?
dude.
Called you Toms or Tomes or
Okay, it's either Thommes, or Thommes. I'm a
Tomes.
little flat when they say Thommes, at least, because at least they think I'm Spanish or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's rare. Only like 1 out of every 20 people say Thomas. It's amazing when they do.
Jeez, are we talking about like regularly, or like announcers have mispronounced your name during a fight or
Oh,
like
and
during
after
an event?
though, they always. I've been lucky. They've always asked me like how to pronounce it. Usually,
Yeah, right. Out of respect, right?
as far as everywhere else I go when I sign up for things, it's always Tom's.
And how did you get your nickname, the Promise? Besides obviously the rhyming scheme.
I don't even know. It just rhymes. Michael. I don't know. That's the funniest thing. People ask me that. And I have no idea. Just we're my old coach Ronald Jun. We were in Maui when I fought Core Corpus 2012.
Mhm.
Um, they always ask you all the information and they're like
Yeah.
nickname. Um, I looked at my coach and he's like the Promise. I'm like it's the Promise, and then we just went from there.
Like what rhymes
I
with
don't know what
Thomas?
it means.
I promise you, you can catch these hands in a
Yeah.
second. And
We
for
had me
the
and my I joke like when I was little, I always wanted to be a garbage man. So
oh no
like
way,
because like the machinery like intrigued me, right? Like the big claw coming out and grabbing it and stuff,
yeah,
and like that like I loved machinery back then, I guess. And then so like now that I'm older, they joke around like, oh, you should have been your nickname should have been the garbage man, and then every time you pick someone up, you could be like dump him, It's like stupid, like.
oh that's awesome. So
Hey, how
when
epic is this background? Can you see
dude,
that?
I was gonna say that was the first
This
thing I was
bird?
gonna bring up. I was expecting like training equipment in the back, and I was like, no, a T-Rex. That's so
Yeah.
fitting.
Okay. Okay. You can still see
I
me,
gotta
right?
figure out how to change mine. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'll just put it to my regular camera
Oh
then.
no,
Sorry.
you're good, man. You're good.
Oh, I'm good. Okay, I'll go back to
That's a promise to be kept secret. So
This is awesome.
that is, dude. I was like, oh man, Ed's gonna be my first guest. This is gonna be
Yeah,
so
sorry, it's
fun.
gonna be a wild one. I'm not
It's
that
gonna be
professional.
so fun. No, not me
I'm
neither. I have no format, no plan, no structure. That's the whole point of like why I named it what it is. But yeah, I just want to ask. I feel like a lot of people who know would want to ask also. Just it's like an elephant in the room for me. So for people who don't know, you train out at Gracie Technics with the likes of Maki Pitolo, right? And Medeiros, Max Holloway. What's it
Yeah.
like being Max's friend? Like out in public, like people always stopping you guys, or
Out in public, like
because he
I
seems like a
always
real
thought it
down
was.
to earth guy.
I always thought it was weird. So me and Max, we actually go back in high school time. We're the two young guys in the gym. He's 1 year older than me. So I knew him before he was famous, and it's like still weird, like when people like stop him for a picture or something like that. And then when we went to Toronto for the who's that Brian Ortega fight,
Mm.
we're in Canada and people recognize him. I'm like, holy crap! I was thinking like, dude, you're famous. That's so weird. It's not just a local thing.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, no, they're great guys. They're super down to earth, and yeah,
no,
those guys. The cool thing is like they haven't changed at all. Like they've grown, but as far as being down to earth, they still got that root in them. So
no, yeah, and it comes off in his interviews. It seems very organic and like natural. And it's not like a character he's portraying. It's genuinely who he is. He's like a nice, down to
it is.
earth, humble gamer. In fact, like dad,
Yeah.
just on a local brother, like just wants to scrap and then go eat cupcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-
Man,
yeah.
I'm still bummed about his last fight, dude.
But like a lot of people like about Max specifically, like we can relate to him. He's just another local boy. I mean, he's definitely on another level mentally, but he enjoys the same hobbies. He likes to cruise at home, go to the beach, all that stuff. So
how's he taking it? Because man, as a fan, dude, that last fight, like, I'm still pissed about it.
that's the game,
Yeah.
He's gonna pick up where he left off, and I'm sure he's very upset, but
Yeah.
he's just gonna come back. Nothing's stopping him.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think it makes sense to run the trilogy, or they got something else probably like?
I think that makes great sense, but if that's, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and if that's not the fight he gets, then he's just gonna the next guy in front of him anyway. He's a champ in his mind. So
Right. No, yeah, I totally agree. As to me, man, 2 knockdowns are like more valuable than 2 takedowns. Where he popped right up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Alex didn't do nothing with him. He just
that was a
it
weird
happened.
one. I mean, I think it's like, I think the deeper root is we just gotta fix the judging. Like my memory's so bad, but I think it was the 4th and 5th where Alex pressed a lot more and he might have took, but like the 1st and 2nd round, like are those 10-8 rounds? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do to get a 10-8 round? You have to kill the guy. You have to drop him like 3 times. Like even when Frankie Edgar fought Green Maynard, I mean, granted it was kind of a few years ago, but like he got dropped like 3 times in 1 round and they still gave it a 10-9. So
Yeah.
it's just weird. They got to fix the judging, and I think, in my opinion, you should just. I know Pride did it. I think ONE FC does championship. Like, just judge it off of a fight, like the entire, not just rounds. If you're gonna do rounds, then you gotta have like boxing does like what 8 rounds, 6 rounds, 12 rounds for championship. Like that works. But if you only have 3 rounds, 5 rounds, then it comes a lot more critical. And if you're gonna do that, then you gotta have a more bigger scoring system. Use the 10-8s more, 10-7s more, not just 10-9.
Yeah, for me, like I wouldn't be mad. I totally agree. I think because there was always a dilemma, like, are you watching this as a fight or the sport of fighting? Because there's criteria, like the guy who landed more or the guy who looks more damaged, the guy who's pressing more but he's getting caught on the way in by the counter fighter, or the guy on the back foot but he's catching them clean. Like if you watch that as a fight, to me, even though he's being like counterintuitive and he's on the defense but he's catching the guy, just because he's retreating per se, I don't know if that counts as a loss. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Like, for example, like I always go back to like the GSP Hendricks or Henderson rematch with Bisping. Like, you watch it as a fight, you would say the guy who took the more damage evidently lost. But then, because it's a sport of fighting, there's criteria and there's rules. It's like, I guess. But then that's why it doesn't sit well, and that's why, there's a big problem. Like honestly, in MMA, I wouldn't be mad at more draws. Like I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like there should be more draws, if anything.
true. I think we should just make it more simple. Like, like you get two guys, and if you could somehow get inside their mind, do you think person A and person B, like, do they think they won? Like maybe like one person was like pressing more but taking more damage. Like, just make it simple. Like, yeah, that guy lost. Like, he got his ass kicked more.
Yeah.
You know. So
And then
I
like
don't know.
also, I feel like we're at a time period where it's more like it can happen more often, but like having former fighters or coaches or etc. be judges or even refs. Like I know Frank Trigg, I know he
Yeah,
refed a couple times. Like that's
yeah.
awesome. Or like like
Terrible referee. Sorry, Frank, if you're watching this,
yeah,
because I
that's the only
saw him.
example.
No. I'm sorry. I should reword that. Maybe he's better now, but
Yeah.
and he's very knowledgeable. But so when he ref my fight in Pancrase,
Mm.
at the fighters meeting, he told us, if you're not working in the ground, if you have them mounted or you have their back and you're not working, I want to stand you guys up. I'm like, are you crazy? If I have mount on somebody and
Yeah.
there's a chance that they could get stand up, that's crazy. But luckily, but I'll back you up. I'll back up Frank. In our fight, I went to the ground many times and he did not stand us up. So, but maybe
No,
because it kept, I don't know. But
yeah. No, for
anyway,
me.
what are we talking about?
Oh,
Frank Trigg is
sorry.
awesome.
No, yeah. No,
And he
yeah. That
beat
was
me
just the
up.
only
He
example I
beat
can
me up
think.
for just giving you props, Frank. But
Yeah. No, Frank was just the only example I can think of. But like I know we got former fighters commentating now
oh,
and
Chris
stuff,
Davis,
and but like
Davis did it.
in terms of being refs or judges, like do we even know? Like we see these names of judges pop up on the screen, but like I know Cecil Peoples used to compete and all that, but like do these others even have like any training or kind of
Oh
comprehension
yeah,
of what they're
yeah,
watching? Like
yeah.
just
Well, I think the judges need a better criteria because it's so weird. Like I think they're was it state or city employees for these commissions. For a lot of these judges, at least in Vegas, and like they have no MMA experience. Like they have to. I think they should have a license where they have to pass like a seminar or something like that, where they have to identify like a certain number of positions on the
yeah.
ground, or they have to watch a video and be like, "Hey, who do you think won this?" And like they have to articulate it,
Hmm.
in a
Yeah.
reasonable.
I thought it was gonna be better with no crowd, because I feel like sometimes the judges don't know what they're watching, but then they hear the crowd
Right,
reactions, and then
right.
they'll sway. Like say like someone threw a leg kick, it like someone checked it, but it just sounded hard, and the crowd goes
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
judges
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Ooh, point to that guy," but like it didn't really
yeah.
damage anything. But I
Right,
thought it
right.
would be
Yeah,
better in the silence, where they can just watch it as it is
right,
with
right.
no crowd persuasion. But man, even in Fight Island and stuff, or even in other promotions and events, it's like, dude, there's been some where I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah, it's just a judging thing, and it, of course, it does make a difference with the crowd, but one thing is like, what if we had more judges, like five,
Hmm.
7 judges, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
Let
pretty
the crowd
reasonable.
be a judge, like
Oh, frick that! Don't let the crowd be the judge.
it's all be all
A lot more
biased there.
idiots.
Yeah. So your last fight was Bellator, right? Last year?
No, my
A year,
last
two
fight
years
was,
ago?
what was it called? WXC, last year in April.
Oh, who did you fight again?
Darius Estelle, he's a prospect. He just won his last fight too. That was a fun one. It was in Detroit,
Oh, I
so
see.
so far away, but yeah, it was a fun one. UFC Fight Pass. And that one for me personally was like, that was a huge challenge for me because the Bellator fight I had was 4 months before that about, and that one was like the worst performance of my life. Like like just going in, like it just wasn't my night. Like no excuses.
Right.
And my opponent, uh, he had the perfect game plan. He shut me out, and then I couldn't take him down, and then my arms got tired. I couldn't even throw strikes hard. It was like I was just pitter patting on my punches. And then so yeah, that was a huge lesson for me. So basically, what I'm trying to say is like that Bellator fight, like I learned my mistakes and what I needed to work on. So I picked up from there and then made some changes, and we game planned for my next fight. I was fighting the same type, so I was fighting a striker again, but this time he had good submissions, good guillotine. So fast forward, going in when I started fighting Darius Estelle, coming off this loss, he used the same techniques to stop my takedowns that I used in my Bellator fight. But what he didn't realize was I learned how to adjust to that. So even though so going in, he studied my Bellator fight, I'm assuming, because he was using the same frames to stop my takedowns, but I made the adjustments from what I learned from that fight, and I was able to take him down like 2-3 times every round. So, you know, that for me personally was like the victory. Like it was cool. I got my hand raised and got that W on my record and stuff. But for me, the real victory was fixing those errors I made. Like it's like if I fought that Darius Estelle guy and didn't fight in the Bellator, I would have lost Darius Estelle. But so, you know, and that's what martial arts is. That's why I still train till this day. You know, like I don't train just because I fight, and even when I stop fighting, I'm not gonna stop training. You know, the reason why I started and became obsessed with it was because I like the improvement that I did every single day. You know, like I'll go into when I was 13 years old, I started, was that 2006, and then I would learn like a simple, like, oh, if you step off this way, he can't really hit you. And then, you know, like when I realized that it works, like that blew my mind. So then the next day I get beat up on something else. I'm getting punched here, or I got caught in an armbar. And then when I learn how to defend it, it doesn't happen as much anymore, you know? So that's what really fueled me and still fires me up to this day. Just that constant improvement, you know, it's like a great feeling.
That's awesome. No, yeah, definitely. Like, regardless if you compete professionally or it's just one of your passions, I know people who martial arts never stops. You know, training never stops, regardless. But that brings me back to a question I was going to ask anyway. Like, yeah, how did you get your start? Not only martial arts and in training, and then eventually becoming a professional fighter, and then also how you ended up at Gracie Technics.
Okay, so when I was 13 in 8th grade, I was training. I played tennis until I was like 5 years old, but I never really played on team. So I was training hard with my dad I was a fat kid. So I started playing tennis more.
Same.
To lose the weight, and I wanted to play on the high school team. And then I hung out with like the wrong crowd of kids at school, you know, the druggies, chronics, you know, punk kids. And then so I used to spar in the backyard. And then so I sparred, and I was like, oh, I did all right. And then my best friend, Chris Ramos, he trained since he was a kid, MMA, like mainly kickboxing at HMC and our uncle. And then I said, hey, let's spar, you know, like I thought I'd do okay. So we kickboxed, and he just like tuned me up, you know, like he'd be here, he'd jab me, and I blinked, and he'll be like out of my sight and punching me from a different angle. You know, it was amazing. So I was like, okay, I got to join a real gym. So I joined the local boxing gym. What was it called? Hawaii Training Center. It's like a few blocks away from my house in YPO. And then they had a little MMA program there too. And then they kind of like slowly like fell apart. Oh, no, they split gyms. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I met Russell Doan coincidentally like at his work furniture. And then Russell was like, oh, you should train with us at 808 Fight Factory. So I went to 808 Fight Factory, freaking loved it. Everyone's super cool over there. And then eventually the name changed to 808 Top Team. And then, yeah, stayed with them for like, man, long time. And then I eventually made it to Gracie Technics, you know. What's that? It was called Hawaii. Oh my God. Yeah, it was Hawaii Elite MMA at Gracie Technics. And then the team split up, so we just cross-trained and stuff like that. And then I just made more time at Gracie Technics, you know, like with my coaches, Rylan Lazares and Ivan Flores. Yeah, and I like Technics. We got a nice small team, you know, like, so we get like a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And the main thing is like, I got to find a style that works for me. And people that work with me well, you know, like, because you got to gel good with your coaches, you know. So Rylan and Ivan, I could, like the way they teach, I could absorb it so well, you know. And I also do jiu-jitsu on the side at Alliance Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu YPO. I started with them I met them from factory days too. So I'm training all over the place, but mainly at Gracie Technics, and then I do my jiu-jitsu at Alliance and YPO.
Nice.
And my strength conditioning, I went to Warhorse Strength Camp for a long time, but Coach Victor Bell moved about 2 years right after my Bellator fight, and then I transferred to tactical strength, and that's a whole nother level in itself too. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask, nowadays we have so much access to fighters' lives, right? We have social media, the promotions they do. I think they do a pretty well job of promoting the fight and giving us insight. There's interviews throughout the week, throughout the months building up. They got the countdowns, the embeddeds. So they give the fans kind of like a vague kind of general idea of what it's like, the life of a fighter when you get the call, setting up camp, going through the camp, cutting weight, and then eventually fighting and then dealing with the aftermath regardless of the result. But just from an actual fighter's perspective, like take us through that process of like you got the call, you got a date, you got an opponent. All right, let's go. How does that work out? What happens next mentally?
Okay, so I got a manager, Brian Butler at Sucker Punch. Super good manager. He's so awesome. He's so on it. Cares about me too. So basically, like, he just looks for fights, then he texts me and my coaches and says, like, does this work for you guys? Because everything has to line up, like, financially, the money has to work. The travel with my coaches, who the opponent is. And I'm glad that I have my coaches, because I'm too, like, I don't know. I can't say no to a fight. Like, and it cost me for this guy. Like, I'll take anything. But at least my coaches can be like, nah, you're maybe like in a year we can take that fight, or not in 2 weeks. Come on,
Yeah.
So they can think for me and make decisions for me, even though like I'll get mad at them, but whatever. I trust them. Maniac sometimes, I guess. Or I think I just get excited. That's why. But I guess that's the mentality you gotta have. If you start questioning every single fight you go into, then you're not gonna make it. Mentality. It's like 90% mental, 10% physical once you get in there. So gotta have confidence.
Definitely. Would you say I know, because it's an issue that that's always in the news, always in the tabloids. We always hear and read about. That's brought up some concerning questions, even with people like Max. Would you say weight cutting is the hardest part about prepping for a fight, especially for people who like, drain a lot?
Yeah. I hate it. It's the worst thing ever. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I can't think of anything worse than freaking that last week of weight cutting. First off, well, for me, I cut a lot of weight, but I don't cut as much weight as like a lot of other people. So like, but that last week is terrible because like I don't take in any salt. I'm water loading. I don't know. The last 5 pounds becomes so hard. I'm like near death every single time. I think I'm gonna die. Accept it already. And
it messes with you emotionally too, right? Like you're always like on edge.
But yeah, it's definitely the hardest thing. And it sucks that it's like another thing you got to worry about, but it's all part of the game. And I think it makes you hungrier, like when I'm cutting weight, be more mad. Like, I'm not going to lose now. That would be a waste of all that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely the hardest part.
Yeah, I think they should.
Sorry, COVID. God, I hate having coronavirus.
It's okay. It's okay. If I could take it from you to the laptop, I probably wouldn't. No.
I don't have COVID. I only have a fever and tightness in the chest. That's all.
Tightness in chest, difficulty breathing, nonstop coughing. It's not COVID though. Oh yeah, I think UFC and MMA in general, they should have weight classes. Like I always say, like lightweight to welterweight to middleweight to light heavyweight. Dude, 55, 70, 85, 205. Like, I wouldn't be mad if they just scrap it and they go every 10, like 75, 85, 95.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, like I seen like pictures of like Conor when he weighing in at 70 and then at 45. I'm like, yo, that's like Conor's skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can't be. I think every time like you cut weight, you're taking like a year off your life. Honestly.
And then you go through a war. That's like an extra 8 months.
Yeah.
Additional to the year.
Yeah. Like my first amateur loss in 2011, I cut so much weight and then I gassed out after like 1 minute, Like, I mean, my opponent was tired too, so it wasn't an excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, like dehydration and weight cutting can be a real issue if you don't know what you're doing, which a lot of.
And I'm sure that affects like your chin, like to some degree. You know what I mean? Like the loss of fluid in your brain and in your head.
Yeah, I believe that.
Oh, sorry, this is like non-related to mixed martial arts or anything, but I just had to ask.
Yeah, I think Trump is right. It is what it is.
Was that? No, but I remember seeing like a picture on your Instagram that I liked. I just didn't ask in the time, but now that I can ask, do you officiate weddings? Is that really a thing?
No, I'm not gonna do it normal. I don't know. My sister asked me to do it for her wedding, and then I was like, hey, I can. If I do this for other people, I can make money off it. And it's a great
Yeah.
thing. I got over it, and I like my Saturday.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just remember
Anyone
seeing. Okay. No, I
I
was
feel like
just.
I do it. I'm not a pastor.
I was just thrown off. I was seeing like pictures of training camp, pictures of the fight building up, then the actual fight, bloodied, been through a
Yeah.
war, and then the next day you're in between two people like holding a Bible, like officiating a wedding. I was like, oh, Ed marries people now. Oh wow, you got a card? Not like I'm gonna be
Yeah,
like married, but
not doing it anymore. I don't think we'll be having any weddings with this whole COVID thing anymore.
yeah,
So
no. I'm just
my
happy,
legs,
like,
man.
yeah. No, I was saying, like, I'm just happy UFC started, they got the ball rolling for like sports to happen again.
Yeah, they're the
Man.
first ones to do it too. Pretty
Hmm.
impressive.
Yeah, they kind of wrote the blueprint, not necessarily for like other sports, but just
Yeah.
for like now that I guess Bellator holding fights again and then PFL and one.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
Super awesome.
I just want to get your opinion on the state of like Hawaii MMA, because before, growing up, at Kimo Leopoldo, of course, BJ, and I knew guys like Kendall Grove, and then now the modern era, we got Max, you, like Yancy Maki, and then we got other people repping other organizations as well in one PFL, Bellator, and like that makes me so like that's it makes me really happy. Like I grew up like watching this in a martial arts family, and like I'm a nerd with it, so it just makes me happy that we have people like from our chain of rocks on the map. Putting
Yeah,
Hawaii.
it's great that we got the exposure. Like BJ really paved the way, and then even Kendall winning the Ultimate Fighter. I was like, yeah, I was just starting out. I was 13 years old when I saw Kendall,
Mm-hmm.
the Ultimate Fighter, and then now he's like a friend of mine. I don't see him a lot, but like, it's like really, really crazy how far everything's come along. And then, yeah, now we got like a bunch of Hawaii fighters getting out there. We can
Mm-hmm.
fight in the main nothing now. We're getting exposure through UFC Fight Pass and TV, Bellator, and all that. Bellator's
Yeah.
coming down to Hawaii. I think one's gonna eventually make it down too once
Nice.
COVID's done. So I think Hawaii has always been there,
Mm-hmm.
especially with our stand up and jiu-jitsu and wrestling is not even a problem anymore. Yeah, Hawaii's come a long way. Like when I started out when I was a kid, like Hawaii only had stand up. There was no like, oh, they sucked on the ground, but it's like no, it's totally opposite now. Like even Helson Gracie said that Hawaii's like I think he said something like along with Brazil and in California, Hawaii's right there with jiu-jitsu too, So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I remember too, like my dad, them, and my uncle, them, they were watching. Like I remember, like Robbie Lawler fought Nico Vitale,
yeah,
and
epic.
then like Mayhem Miller used to fight here a lot, and then
That's my favorite fight in the world. Used to be at least.
Mayhem Miller.
Yeah, he's the one that the fight that so when I mentioned that I was sparring with in the backyard and stuff, around that time is when I watched Mayhem Miller. I was randomly watching TV and Mayhem Miller fought George St. Pierre. Oh, I seen that Mayhem Miller guy in the newspaper because he was fighting here in Hawaii. And then excuse me. And then Mayhem got beat up so bad, but he showed such good technique. And he was the more weaker guy, his skinnier guy compared to St. Pierre, who's a freaking beast. And but just displaying all that technique and stuff, that's what intrigued me. I'm like, wow, there's a lot more to this. Because initially I thought like it was just a bunch of scrappers. I thought it was just a bunch of tough guys. I didn't know how technical it was and how much strategy was involved until I saw that fight. So yeah, that blew. So ever since that, Mayhem's been my favorite fighter. But unfortunately, he's battling his own demons all the time. It sucks, but hopefully he can get it together.
Yeah, I was gonna say like him and BJ, and there's stuff that's been going on. It's unfortunate, I wish him the best, to pray for him, but they're definitely pioneers. Like I remember watching Mayhem also fight, and then he coached the Ultimate Fighter with Bisping.
Yep.
It was one of the most entertaining seasons, and then he had that bully beatdown show.
Yeah,
and like like a lot of people, like Eddie Alvarez, I think Michelle Watterson was on there. He kind of helped them blow up too. Yep. Mayhem's a good guy. Like there was never a boring Mayhem fight that I watched. His personality.
Yeah,
is awesome.
Super entertaining.
You met him before, or he was
Many,
always your?
many times.
Oh,
Yeah, I met him after he lost to Frank Trigg, and then he fought again in Hawaii against Hector. Knocked him out in the first round, and I met him at the Blaisdells. Like I was 14 years old. I was like so like blown away that I got to meet my idol.
oh wow.
Yeah, that was a super cool experience. Still got the picture too. But yeah, I met him maybe 3 times after that. He had a seminar and all that stuff. Super cool. Super cool guy.
What was your first experience with MMA, like, or UFC specifically, like seeing it and going, wow, what is this?
That St. Pierre fight, like
That was the
I
one?
always heard, but when it was randomly on TV, like I was like, oh, this is it. Okay, let's check it out. And then yeah, I got to see them duke it out. So because to me, and that was 2006, so like people didn't know what MMA was, including myself. Like some people thought it was fake, some people thought it was too brutal, but now it's like a legitimate sport. So seeing it come all this way is a trip, man.
I wanted to ask, like I was saying earlier, we have all this, like, fighters are so accessible, training camps, even the coaches, even friends of the fighters, everything's like out there now because of social media and all the platforms. What do you think is the most misunderstood part about being a fighter that, like, the general public don't truly understand or would never understand or take for granted, kind of, that you guys kind of hold close to you?
Oh, for sure, they don't understand like the work that goes in. Like I would never, if I'm ever watching a fight live, I would never boo. Like you have no idea what these guys have to sacrifice and go through. Like I know so much fighters that, you know, just like, man, I don't even know where to start. Like when it comes to the weight cutting, when it comes to the relationships you got to sacrifice, when it comes to your time, putting your body and mental sanity at stake every single day. Even all the things I've done in my life, fighting was still the hardest thing. Training for a fight, walking to that cage is still the hardest thing I've ever done. And, it's mostly like, obviously physically the training and stuff, waking up every day, training 2-3 times a day, but just mentally knowing that you're going to get into a fight and the day's ticking down. I talk about like being confident when I take a fight and stuff, but honestly, like when I get that fight, I'm like, yeah, I want this. Like, okay, we got it, great. And then I go home, I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. Like I'll like wake up in the middle of the night, like, oh god, the fight's 2 weeks away. Holy crap, here we go. Like it's terrifying. And any fighter that says they're not scared when they go in the cage is lying. Like people, like even in the UFC, the highest level, like people are still in the locker room throwing up because they're so nervous. So I think that's what people don't really appreciate is what we go through with the weight cutting, especially. Like, man, even like even like the families involved, the wives and kids, like they sacrifice a lot too, not seeing their dad or whatever. So yeah.
No, yeah, that kind of ties into something you brought up earlier. Like I was never like when we're regarding the booing and all that, and then just I feel like nowadays, like the term casual is thrown around a lot, like fans post Connor and Rousey, but like yeah, I feel like nowadays, like there's a deeper appreciation because people know what's going on a little bit more than before. Like now, like I'll see someone like sweep on the ground or have a transition or take someone's back, and like it was like such a hard, strenuous time to get to that point, and then the fans will cheer then instead of typically like they just boo, try to stand them up. Like there's a deeper understanding and appreciation now, I feel like, which is really needed. And like because yeah, like man, I would never, I respect anybody who goes through the training camp, the weight cut to get in there, win, lose or draw, like that, because it's not a team sport. I mean, you can have a team you train with, coaches that help you prep, training partners, sparring partners, nutritionists and all that, but it's you know what I mean? And like especially nowadays, like with the internet trolls and everyone's such like, so like I think the MMA, like if you just read comments or you just hear what people have to say, some MMA fans, there's some especially the new ones, man, they roast some of these people. Like, so they're some of the most toxic people. Like, dude, just yesterday when I was watching the Covington and Woodley fight, like, man, first of all, regardless of what you think about him, Woodley had a good run. He
It is,
he
yeah.
stayed on top for a long time, regardless of what you think of his personality. Even
Yeah.
Kobe, like you can't deny he was one of the best. And then like what it took for him to do that, get fight ready, make it to the fight, and then get injured. And then I'm seeing all these people like, you know, just ragging on his injury or how he handled himself at the press conference. I'm like, dude, that's not even like in my train of thought right now. Like, is the dude's rib okay? Like, he
I,
just put the show on to entertain you guys, and it's
the thing
crazy,
with
man.
Kobe, the thing with Kobe, it's like he's still an act, you know. Like
Yeah.
I heard he's a guy in real life. It's just an act, and people take it so seriously. But I can understand why people take offense to it. But
Oh yeah.
it's a tricky one. I don't know. It's
No,
a
yeah.
tricky one.
I heard he's a
But
really
it's
nice
like,
guy.
you're really gonna let this guy that doesn't know you exist bother you? Come on, chill out.
Yeah.
But that was hilarious. It was MAGA versus Black Lives Matter.
I know.
I hope
Dude.
Kobe Covington better be careful. Like that's pretty scary. He is.
That's all. Yeah, regarding the times that we're in too. I think
if that was a real crowd, they would riot. So thankfully it wasn't.
I think one of the most like one of the comments I read was like BLMs under Tyron Woodley was like, since for Bellator's latest member. I was like, dude, come on, man.
Oh,
did you see that?
One. That's terrible.
And then people just started like weren't original with it. They were just putting it everywhere. I was like, oh god, that's terrible.
You know, with comments and stuff, like
don't read them.
All these, yeah. So on YouTube, my Bellator fight has like 3 million views now. So I was like, wow, that's great. And I was like, oh, it's my trash. It's my crappiest performance. And there's like, I think thousands of comments. And I just read them. I'm like, oh, don't read this.
Yeah.
I don't read this.
I think if you're trying to.
I think Joe Rogan said this, and it makes sense. Like, do you know anyone that writes YouTube comments? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's because they're losers, you know. Like, I don't have time to make YouTube comments and talk to a bunch of strangers and just talk negative. Worry about yourself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that podcast with Kevin Hart. He's like, you know how much time it takes out of your day to sit there and do this or like do this, just to hate on somebody. I was like, oh man. But I mean, that's the generation we live in now. I think Mike Tyson said it a few weeks ago or a few months ago. It was like I seen it in a meme where he did an interview. He was like, man, like the society and generation we live in now, it's allowed people to say whatever they want without getting punched in the face.
Yeah, like, that's so funny.
You have the security of your screen, of like being anonymous, and like it's easy. It's just so easy to spread hate, and it's like, I feel like that's everywhere, but like fighters especially, or if you're trying to be a professional at anything or hold yourself to a certain level at anything, don't read the comments. Just put your head down, go to work, and don't read the comments, man.
Yeah.
Have you experienced being booed in a fight?
When I fought in Maui, they booed me and they would say racist things. It's hilarious.
What?
Yeah, but then
were you fighting a Maui boy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
But like, no, it's funny because I don't know, I won in like the first round, and then they liked me after that. And you know, I wasn't being like a douchebag about it either. And
yeah.
everyone, well, they're cheering for me. Like, okay, that was pretty bizarre. Yeah, but that's just they're cheering for a hometown boy. I get it, you know.
Nah, then they you know, real mature people, they'll respect the fact that you guys both went in there afterwards and did it.
Yeah, for the most
part. Yeah. So, about your Bellator fight, since you brought it up, how was that for you mentally afterwards? Like, how quickly did you like get that fire again to be like, all right, you know, I made mistakes. I did this, XOXO. Time to get back in the gym, time to get back to work. When's the next one? Or did it actually like how did that sit with you? Like, how did you get over that and pick yourself up to win your next fight a few months later?
I trained the next day. Yeah.
You're in the next day?
Yeah. Well, technically 2 days, but yeah, I trained right away. I got after it, you know, stitches and all.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
No time to waste. I soaked in my sorrows for an hour and then I went right back to work. You know, I wanted to fix it right away, and because I knew what I needed to fix, so I wanted to get on it. And it proved in my next fight that it paid off.
Yeah. And all credit and respect to your opponent, but like I watched that fight numerous times, and I remember I was at like I was supposed to go. Like someone at work was trying to get us tickets to all go, but I couldn't go. But like you were never like, there are moments where he had his moments, but you were never like out of the fight. You know what I mean? I feel like you always had a shot. Like you were there the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's why I live by that. I live by that phrase. It's called never out of the fight.
because you're always one punch or one kick away, one submission away, and that's why I don't ever give up. Like there's always that chance. When there's a will, there's a way. And that fight specifically, like I just needed my opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but at least I don't have any regrets.
Right. So I know you got the whole police academy thing going on, but if you were to get a call to get in there again.
So I stopped. I stopped fighting right now because I wanted to pursue this dream. I've always wanted to something in the military or a police officer since I was a kid.
Not a garbage man.
But and then I found out I liked MMA and I wanted to pursue that. I pursued all my goals, all my dreams and stuff like that. So I'm putting that on the side and we'll see what happens with that. But as of right now, I'm just focusing on passing the police academy.
Nice.
It's rough and I could get cut anytime. So that's where my focus is at right now. I'm giving it 100%. Still training on the side, of course, but that's where my focus is at right now. And the reason why I joined is because, being an MMA fighter, you got to be real selfish and put yourself first. And, being a police officer is a complete opposite, it's a role that no one wants to take. And it's the hardest job right now. And it's a very selfless job. And I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself for once. So that's why I signed up and that's why I took the call. So yeah, that's.
Oh yeah.
Is.
Totally understand. Yeah. Totally respect that, dude. And I'm very proud of you. I'm happy that you got in. I know you were just speaking to me about it for a while. And then just the fact that it's all kind of falling into place. Now I'm very happy for you, man. Have you got tased yet?
Yeah, it was terrible.
What does that feel like?
I can't really talk about the academy, but it was a terrible seconds.
How many seconds?
5.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Where? Like in your chest?
It's in your back in your buttocks. Yeah. It's terrible.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even. I had a follow-up question, but I'm gonna skip down. Oh, I always meant to ask you because we met at the the behavior hospital we both worked at.
Uh-huh.
I know, like you were hired and you left and you got hired again. How did you even end up there? Because I got in because one of my Jay, the night nurse, light-skinned Filipino guy, he brought me in. I knew him from the gym. How did you get there?
So all my jobs before joining the police academy was all jobs that I wanted to do that could support myself, but also had a schedule to work with being a full-time fighter. So the reason why I started working at the mental hospital was because I could make my own schedule as a call-in.
Yeah.
And then I got an opportunity at the UFC gym to work, and it seemed cool, but the hours were pretty crazy and it's pretty exhausting. And I'm not really much of a salesman, It's just not my thing. I have a hard time selling a package that I think is too expensive and lying about it,
Yeah.
It's just something I didn't believe in at the time, so I couldn't do it. So I went back to the mental hospital, and it's funny that I think it's all God's work, I'm in the police academy now, and I got my training from obviously mixed martial arts that can benefit me on the road, but also my training from working at the mental hospital because that's a lot of the population out there, though. People with mental issues, and it taught me a lot of verbal skills. So it's totally in God's hands that I think I'll just put in this place, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I mean, I always try to keep that demeanor and that mindset, but when it comes to people like that on the street, I never laughed at them or anything. But then all the more so when I worked there. Oh yeah.
That's all crazy.
But also all the more so when I started working there, and I'm realizing man, some of these stories are heartbreaking. Some of these people fought for us and for our freedom. Some of these people have families. So it really felt yeah, man, working there has made me so appreciative. And if you grew up in a household with love, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah. And like you always said, you are a Christian, right? You always said yeah, you're reminded of how blessed you are. Every time I work there, when I get spat at, punched or kicked, it doesn't even compared like to when I get thanked to like, oh, like thank you, or like, you know, I impacted this, I helped their day get a little bit better, or they had a bad phone call, or bad treatment, blah blah blah, and then, you know, you're not there to. I mean, there's not, that wasn't the intention to get like invested, but like, you know, just being who we are and then believing in God, and then kind of just like, man, like you really, it opens up perspective, and you're very appreciative of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you don't have a situation like that, for sure.
Yeah.
And then now you're gonna be even hands-on some more now that you joined the academy. So it's like you're already familiar. Like you're not gonna trip out. You see somebody like yelling in the midair, talking to themselves, you know.
Yeah.
So you're planning to actually be on patrol, like out there on the beat and stuff?
Sorry, I can't talk about it.
Oh no, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
No, that's
I'll
cool.
talk to you. I can't talk about
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Off camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So besides that, anything new going on?
No, not much. I mean, it just
Want to
sucks.
shout out your Twitch?
No.
People can catch these hands on Call of Duty.
But nah, nothing much. I just been like getting into a lot of like kettlebell work just because it's the only thing I got working with me since the gym's closed. So I've learned because I'm borrowing from a friend a 70-pound, 44-pound, and a 35-pound kettlebell, and I never realized how creative you can get and still, you know, get some good gains with it. So
yeah. Oh, that actually reminds me. I was trying to I've been doing a lot of research and like watching a lot of videos, and I've been meaning to get into kettlebell work. So I know it has a lot of different like applications and benefits, like because of how the weight's distributed in the bottom. When you do work with it, it's like less stress on your joints and stuff like that. Or like so I've been meaning to like pick some up and try it out. Like what do you feel like kettlebells benefit? How do they benefit you as opposed to like different workouts? Because they're a thing that you see a lot of combat athletes or athletes in general do. There's a lot of explosive movements, right? Like the snatch and press and just the basic swinging. How do you implement kettlebells, and like what do you feel like they've done for you as opposed to your basic, you know, dumbbells or whatever?
So basically, for my workout schedule, just in general, I do. I try to do some kind of martial arts thing throughout the week, but if my schedule is crazy, I work out every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always make sure I hit every body part
Every day,
strength-wise, and then also I get one endurance lift a week, like a circuit, basically, and also my sprints, and then I jog. So as far as so I try to do MMA, jiu-jitsu as much as possible all week, and then on the side from that, I get my strength in, as well as my 4-mile run in, as well as my sprints, as well as my circuit. So as of right now, like my 70-pound, I obviously do that for my heavy weights, and then the 35-pound kettlebell, like it's a lot of speed stuff because it's light, but you can go fast in that circuit, you know, that pays off. The 44-pound is like right in the middle of both of them. So there's even ways like, man, I forget what it's called, but they got this good thing called on the internet, onit.com. You go to their Onit Academy, and they really break it up. Yeah, but the biggest thing for a kettlebell is it's like a full body workout, you know, like no matter how you carry it, it's such an odd weight. So like even if like what I do is like maybe I'll get the 7-pound and I'll clean it to my shoulder, and then I'll squat with it on each side. And obviously my legs are eventually going to get tired, but also like I feel my core getting tired as well, being able to stabilize myself up. So, but I keep my workouts nice and simple. Like sometimes like I'll just like I did a kettlebell workout last week, and then I was exhausted, and I thought in my head, you know, what would suck is if I walked around the block with 2 kettlebells in each hand. So I did that because it sucked.
Did you really?
Because I didn't want to do it, so I did it. You know, and the block is like about 1 mile, so that was a long mile. You know, that's another thing I think about working out too, is like obviously from the physical gains and stuff, but also because it strengthens your mind. You know, like that's why I work out every day. If I don't, I get grumpy. If I don't, I get
agreed. No, yeah, especially like since we're on lockdown and quarantine, I feel like, dude, if I could not work out and not like lift and not hit bag or hold pads, I would lose my mind. Like that's definitely keeping my sanity, you know. But yeah, I'll get you out of here on this. For people who want to, for the young up and comer who wants to make fighting his profession, what would you give as a solid piece of advice for them? Having been through years of experience and the ups and downs and, you know, the wins and the losses, what would you say is the most valuable piece of advice you can give them?
A young and up and coming fighter, train every day, and find a coach that works well with you. You know, but main thing is just train every day. You can't go backwards. You know,
Mhm.
always going forward. Just get in the gym, and you can't always. And this goes for everybody that has a goal. Like let's say working out or training. Like you don't always work out or train when you feel like it. Otherwise, you're never going to get the result you want. You just have to do it.
Right. Hey, well, I didn't want to keep you too long, man. I appreciate you so much. We're definitely gonna have you. I gotta have you back on when we could do this in person. We'll do it over some lunch. But
Toots.
thank you for this, Mike. Thank you for being the first official guest on this. Thank you for in advance for returning, because I will ask you again. And
All right.
thank you for the campaign that you've been running, and I will be sure to vote for you.
We'll be in here next time.
Next time we'll do it in the Oval Office, and like if you let me in, we'll do the next one.
Make Hawaii great again.
Hey, everybody, this is Edward Thommes. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. God bless. Take it easy.
All right,
Take care,
man.
man. Easy. Thank you.
Yeah.